Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Can you give me like the voices in which you would actually use when you were talking to me?
Testing 1 2.
Hey everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel. She is Hope. This is episode 127. Happy 2026. Here we are. It's January for the next 45 to 50 days.
January always takes forever.
Hope is going to be a little low volume today. She's been sick for a month and a half.
Merry
it feels
Christmas.
Like.
Happy New Year.
If you can, she'll probably sound to you guys a little bit louder because I'm going to push her audio up in post, but in recording, she's definitely lower than usual. How you feeling?
I don't know. It's been a time. So we had Christmas. Well, we had our start to our Christmas vacation, the time off that we took, started off good, and then it wasn't. But what did we do to begin things before it all went downhill?
We took a little short trip to our favorite vacation spot. It's a little known place. Most of you probably aren't aware of it. Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
That is the closest I've ever been to Disney right before Christmas. And that's the last time I think I'll ever go that close before Christmas, because while it was super fun to see, and you can see the parks decorated usually in November for Magic Kingdom, but Epcot, his food and wine lasts so long, the Epcot Festival of the Holidays doesn't begin till right after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So we couldn't really see that. The last time I had seen some of the Epcot Christmas decorations was when they were still up when we did our marathon.
Yeah, and that's after Christmas.
So it was after Christmas, and I was really tired because, I ran a marathon. So it wasn't quite the same. But it was a really fun trip, a fun experience. Weirdest flight home ever.
Yeah. I don't know what was up with that. Maybe it was just the day of the week and the time that we were flying and the time of year. What was it, 15 people on a flight?
It was 15 passengers, and I wouldn't call it the day of the week and the time of the year because we flew home Friday, December 19th, which is widely known as the start of one of the busiest travel weekends. But
I guess just nobody was going from everybody was probably going to Orlando, not from Orlando.
Not to frigid Columbus, because it was pretty warm when we were down there for you know how sometimes it can get colder in December and January time at Disney. We had what I would call perfect weather.
Perfect weather.
So perfect weather, warm, but not overly hot. And I guess no one wanted to take that super early flight out. I don't know, TSA, everyone was super friendly and in good moods. That's the nicest.
Yeah, by the way, it was the nicest MCO.
Was I in the upside down
experience I have ever been in?
So weird. They were all just feeling super festive, and then we get on the plane, and they're everyone has to sit up front for weight distribution or something. And then I look around, and I'm wow. And they're yeah, this is a 15 passenger flight
on a plane that seats 175 people.
Yeah, it was a normal.
It was very empty.
And my guess is the reason why our flight wasn't canceled or merged with another is because they needed that plane to get people from Columbus to Orlando.
Yeah, back. It was probably full to the brim on its next flight.
I feel that was because I know Southwest is changing their policy, which has already changed, I guess. So maybe that was our send-off to Southwest, a private almost plane.
No more fun times.
But then it wasn't fun. After that, I started feeling bad. Then I got better and was still stuffy. We were able to have and I tested negative for all the stuff. And we were able to have a decent Christmas, I would say. Christmas Eve, we went to my parents' party. We hosted at our house. No one, to my knowledge, has come down with any illnesses, so I don't think we had a super spreader
Including
event.
Me.
Yeah, well, you're built different. This man never gets sick. So
folks, I have been
in the thick of it.
In no way avoiding it. I have been picking up after her
even
tissues
he picked
all
up
over
my
the place.
tissues. You're so nice.
I have been cooking for her and bringing her stuff, just doing all the things. Not sick at all.
Still sitting on the couch with me when I'm hacking. But so December 25th, Christmas, I felt like Christmas evening, I started coughing really bad again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we were watching Four Christmases. Is that what we were watching? Yeah, because or did we watch Stranger Things, the first episode?
We didn't watch Stranger Things
till the
Christmas
26th.
Day. We didn't start until till the next day.
So because it dropped at like 8, and that should have been my first clue that I wasn't in the mood to watch that. So we were watching Four Christmases to kind of cap off our Christmas movies, and I started coughing a lot again. And I was like, okay, it's just because I've used my voice so much, and I wore myself out because like I was still congested on Christmas Eve, but like I had felt mostly better. But like it was a very busy day because we drove out of town, went to a party, came home, got ready to host at our house, had people over. People didn't leave. Like it was just like a day of boom, boom, boom. Like love the holidays, man, making memories, but like so much going on. Like I did the gingerbread houses, which is now you do them like 1 year, and now I have to do them every year.
Yeah.
So we did those with like all the kids on Christmas Eve. So it was a lot. So I thought, well, and I had kind of a headache Christmas morning. I was like, I'm just really tired. So then December 26th comes on, and Stranger Things, I was like, we got to watch it all, or I'm not going to be able to get on TikTok or do anything. And I'm like coughing a lot more. And I'm like, is it because volume 2 or season 5 part 2, or they call it volume 2, right? I was like, is it because it could have been an email, which we'll get into? I was like, I just don't feel good at all. And then on Saturday, December 27th, I got my Christmas and New Year's gift and tested positive for the dreaded vid. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Disney was fun.
Yeah. It feels like it was a million years ago.
Feels like it was a million years ago. Everybody that like was there though, I have a bone to pick with you people. The people that were there, like open air coughing, hacking, sneezing. Count your days. No.
No, it's always amazing to me the people who
I can't imagine feeling the way I felt and being there. I can barely walk down the hall.
Yeah, first of all, feeling like you're feeling and going anywhere. But the people that'll be at a table sitting with the group of people, and they will turn to cough away from their group, but they're turning into another group of people and coughing straight at them. I'm like, and they don't cover their mouth. They're just animals.
I remember we were on our way, which by the way, we didn't get to write it. Thank you for that. We were on our way to get our Guardians Lightning Lane, and this woman, this like old like boomer lady, like turns from her husband, life partner, I don't know, and just hacked right in my face. I'm calling her patient 0. I don't know if I had the vid the whole time or if I got that wonderful combo. I'm hearing from people with 2 different viruses. I've asked my nurse friend. She says it's very possible since I have asthma and I'm more like, you guys have to realize this. This is my PSA. Okay. I'm going to say my PSA. People with asthma, like just a cold in air quotes to like normal people is not the same for those of us with asthma. It can, like a normal cold that can like take you out for 2 days can take me out for like 2 weeks. So I really wish people would be a little bit more mindful of that. But anyway, so she like coughs like literally like in my face. So I don't know if she was patient 0. I don't know if I had the 2 virus combo. My friend says it's very possible I could have that bad of luck. And then Sarah Beth's like, so Daniel hasn't been sick at all this entire time? I'm like, no. Like one day I felt like you seemed sniffly, but it was just because you were in your basement. That's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And when we say
let me rephrase. There was one morning where I woke up and I felt like, this like, could be it.
Yeah.
But then what had actually happened was it was like 70 degrees. And
that
then
is wild.
Like 18 hours later, it was 20.
I haven't left the confines of this home.
Yeah, like the differential that took place is what caused me to feel that way. And like a couple hours of sitting up straight, I was fine. So
I've only closest I've been to the outside world is like when you open the door to take Marvin out. Because obviously I've been quarantining because I'm not mood. And if anyone's like, oh, you just said you were at Christmas. No, I was feeling much better other than just like some of those remaining like sniffles that you get. Like it was so weird. Wasn't it weird? Like this shift?
Like you seemed like you were completely good. And then, Christmas Eve evening, you were like,
insane. Yeah. So Merry Christmas. So how did we spend our New Year? Also watching Stranger Things and me coughing and hacking up a lung. I've had a lot of soup.
A lot of soup.
But yeah, I hope you guys had a good Christmas and New Year's. Other than my, plague, how would you describe our holidays?
I mean, that kind of was the holiday, honestly. Like, it kind of engulfed the entire thing. So it was nice
Kleenex
to,
in business.
have time off and not work. But it's better when you're not sick, in your case, or caring for somebody who is sick, in my case, and having to kind of just deal with that.
This morning, Daniel's like, didn't I just open a new box of tissues for you? And I said, well, yes, you did. And he's like, then why are you needing another? I'm like, because I'm producing more mucus than a 5 foot tall petite woman should have in their body in the course of 45 minutes. We're keeping Kleenex in business.
I feel like I need to put a biohazard sticker on our trash cans when they put them out this week.
It's just insane. Yeah, I can't even enjoy like things I like my Starbucks. I had like 2 sips of my drink. So I would really like 2026 to, try to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Anyway, our Christmas decorations are still up, so there's that.
I shudder every time I think about taking those down.
All right. Well, we did some other stuff. Before we went to Disney, we did watch a movie, not at the theaters, but in our home. This was back when I knew what breathing was like, and I didn't sound like I smoked 50 packs a day. Go ahead and tell them what movie we watched.
Oh, yeah, we watched the third Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, on Netflix. I can't remember what day we watched it, but
we watched it right, not the day before we left for Disney, but like the day before the day before.
Kind of become every couple of years Christmas tradition for Ryan Johnson to toss one of these things out on Netflix, and I'm all for it.
What is he, the producer or director of the Star Wars
Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, very controversial movie, but he totally. We know we're a spoiler podcast, but because the holiday season, I don't know if a lot of you have had time to watch Knives Out, and it's the type of movie that like, if we spoil it, like I don't think, how sometimes we spoil an episode, you can go back. Like, John Paul told me like he feels like he's watching Shrinking with us from where he's listened because he's been watching Shrinking. Oh, okay. Knives Out's a different situation, but I will say that Ryan Johnson puts a Star Wars joke.
It was a good one too.
And it was perfect because we were both like thinking it, and then they actually referenced Star Wars.
It was a good one. Okay, it was a good joke, but just because he had done a Star Wars movie before.
It would have been a good joke regardless.
It would have been a good joke regardless because of just how it framed things up and the thinking of certain people and what it was saying, the commentary it was making about our
But then when you realize.
Yeah. But then when you know who the director is, it's like, oh, okay, this is even funnier.
All right, so when it comes to Knives Out, since this is my spoiler-free review, I feel like the first one is, even though I haven't seen it, since it dropped, is always going to just have that first magic. It's hard to top the first one. But I do think this is better than the second one, the Glass Onion one.
Yes, I agree with that.
I liked this one better, and I don't think that's an unpopular opinion based on what I'm hearing. My second point is they've got to stop making priests hot. Here's another. The Fleabag, the priest, was like, who, by the way, the hot priest from Fleabag is another character in this movie. And then the guy he was in The Crown, he played Prince Charles, and they must have had to like kind of, uggo him up a little bit in The Crown. He still kind of has like the ears, but like he looked really good as a priest. And I'm like, you guys have got to stop making hot priests. Like, that's what like decided. I was like, we got to watch Knives Out. Like, we kind of had our fill of our hallmarks, and we were getting ready to go on vacation, unknowingly getting ready to battle the plague for a month. And we were like, let's just go out and watch Knives Out now. But, like, part of it is because I had seen, like, TikTok edits with, like, the hot priest. I was like, we need to see this. Number 3, the third comment that I will say is I think that some people are going to see the preview for this and think that it is dunking on religion. And I honestly don't think that's the case. I think it's dunking on certain types of people in the religious community that use religion for bad, if that makes sense, that maybe they're not pure of heart and they don't truly believe in like the gospel or anything like that, kind of like what the Gemstones people did, because there is a scene in it between hot priest and somebody that I felt really depicted a relationship with God and a spiritual connection very well. So don't go if you're like thinking that you're going to be like offended. I don't think I think like you should be offended at, certain people, maybe like the darkness of certain people in the church. Or if you're not religious at all, I don't think you're going to be bothered either way. But I just wanted to put that out. I feel like I'm very rambling right now because, again, you guys, I do have the plague. But I'll let Daniel take it from here. Do you understand what I'm saying by that?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. To address my rankings, I definitely think this is better than the second one. I liked this one enough that I probably would need to rewatch the first one to make that order, because I do think I really enjoyed this one. I saw a really good TikTok. Somebody talked about how you can tell when a movie is good when people from both sides of the argument are hating on the point of view. And I have seen people who are critical of this movie for being anti-religion, and I have seen people who are critical of this movie for being too pro-religion.
Yeah.
That actually, and I think that comment that I saw on TikTok was very well done, is to say that means this movie's really saying something. When you get both of those sides, because usually you'll get one side or the other, but both sides are kind of going at it on this one. And I think that says a lot of good things. And I thought the message of the movie was very good. I enjoyed all the characters. It was interesting to me how Benoit Blanc, our detective, really was almost a backseat character in this movie. But it worked.
He didn't show up, but we were like a half hour.
It was like 40 minutes into the movie before he showed up. Yes. So yeah, like I said, because of when this came out, and I do highly recommend people, if you've got Netflix, this is a slam dunk, no question. If you've got a free night and you're looking for a movie, this is a great.
For Leslie Knope is a slam dunk.
Any of the Knives Out movies are great, but if you've seen the other ones, I would highly recommend this one. So we're not going to spoil it, but very good. I think it had a lot of good things to say. Very
and a
timely,
hot priest.
And a hot priest.
All right. So I know I just made a Parks and Rec reference. I'll always make those.
She's been watching Parks and Rec.
I've been rewatching Parks and Rec. We've actually been watching a lot of TV, thanks to Sid, the vid and the plague. I actually did finish Emily in Paris. Daniel dipped out of that. Not so much because you wanted to. That whole season could have been an email. My spoiler-free review of that, because I will be talking about that in a future episode. But when you're confined to your house and you can't move across the room without hacking up a lung, you watch a lot of TV. I started and finished season 1 of I Love LA on, is it HBO? Is it Max? I don't know what it's called anymore.
Nobody does.
Go watch that. We're all caught up with Ghosts and Abbott Elementary. But all of this is for another podcast to talk about. Oh, and Fallout.
And Fallout has started. And
Season
we've been
2.
catching up with that. We haven't started watching Percy Jackson yet. We're kind of banking. We're kind of letting that one
I
build
need to
up
read
a
those
little bit.
books, really.
And she says she's going to read the books before
I
then,
keep
but
getting things.
we'll see.
Life keeps throwing me curveballs.
And
you
then
guys.
I also have to say,
Fallout's good.
Fallout is very good. Fallout's really, I think you said it, Fallout's like the thing I'm looking forward to right now every week.
Yeah.
I found another show. It's one of those, I probably don't care about it, but you're going to like it shows, and you said you're going to watch it. So Hope will at some point in the near future be starting the Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry?
It's starting to show up on my TikTok. It's also on, is it HBO, is it Max? Nobody knows what it's called.
We don't know.
But we'll talk about all those in the future podcast episode, because the big one ended allegedly.
We'll talk about that then.
That is Stranger Things season 5. We got volume 1 on Thanksgiving. Only had to wait a couple of weeks. By the way, I do not like it when Thanksgiving falls late. I like it when your birthday's well after Thanksgiving into the next week, because it felt like we had no time between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
It was very short.
This is why I decorate early, people.
Yeah, so 2 points here. One, from this point forward, spoilers, be aware if you haven't watched any of Stranger Things Season 5 or specifically Part 2 and the finale. We're going to talk about that. If you haven't heard our thoughts on Season 5 so far, you can go check out episode 124 from December 2nd, 2025. Stranger Things Season 5 so far.
All
what
right.
a creative name.
Yeah, so Volume 2 dropped Christmas evening. So just like I got hit with the plague, I also got hit with a very, I'm just going to say it, and this is not, we'll talk about the finale after. These are the episodes before the finale.
Episode what, like?
It would have been episodes
5, 6, 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
6, 7.
Don't. No. Stop that.
Anyway, listen, I'm around kids a lot. It was, I'm just going to say it, a wet fart. I feel like there were a lot of scenes from the different episodes of the second half of the season. I hate saying volume 2, that I liked. But so there was like certain scenes that I really enjoyed. They were great. There were some epic moments that I liked. But when it goes by each episode, I felt like it was just like rehashing everything I had just seen in volume 1. I think that this is an example of where Netflix once again did suffer from not putting it out there all at once. You could have still saved the finale, but I don't think people, because I feel like there's a lot of people that do feel the same way as we did. Like these last episodes were kind of like, ugh.
I have another suggestion that would have helped them a little bit, and I know a lot of people, including maybe even you, are going to glare at me. They should have told them keep the episode length to 45 minutes.
No,
because for me, the first part and this second part suffered from standing around talking about stuff.
That's not really what I'm bothered by because...
But it's so expositional.
I know that I was getting sick, but I wasn't getting sick at Thanksgiving, and like I usually am not able to focus on a show and just sit down and watch. In fact, I wanted more character talking.
Yeah.
Give me more of that, less of them like, when did Nancy turn into Sylvester Stallone? Like, suddenly, what's that movie, like Rambo? Is that the one where, like, she's like, I'm like, I know that Karen Wheeler's a baddie. So
and we'll talk about this later. Not only turn into Sylvester Stallone, but is totally cool and fine with smoking like 5 or 6 regular human guys. Not demogorgons or demodogs or any of that stuff, but like regular human men.
Who trained her? Like, we know Karen Wheeler's a baddie. But yeah, I wish the characters would talk more. That being said, I know what you're talking about with the too much talking. There's the scene right before, because one of the moments that I liked is Max finally comes out of her coma and wakes up. But oh my God, it was reminding me of that TikTok. It's like, my father worked in a farm restaurant, and I'm like, Max, you have to run. And she's talking to Holly, blah 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 blah, and it just took forever. I'm like, why are they having a 20-minute conversation? I'm like, you've seen that you've not been able to escape before. Will you please go? I was like, I'm going to be frustrated if Max stays in his coma any longer.
The problem was, it wasn't like they weren't saying things that were useful or meaningful to each other, but it really broke the pace. Like, it broke the tension of the moment, because you're sitting there, they're talking, and you're like, this is not what you would be doing.
And they're flashing back to like what's going on in, like, you know, not in the upside down coma world, in actual Hawkins, and I feel like I'm watching Jurassic Park, the kitchen scene with the velociraptors.
You know what? But see, to me, here, I'm going to defend it for a second.
Okay.
That
I mean, it was fine. I'm just saying.
That scene actually, to me, read as an homage.
Okay.
So that was actually them saying, hey, you know what would be really cool? Let's pay homage to one of the tensest, most like crazy scenes in movie history, which is the Jurassic Park, kitchen scene. And let's do that. And that's what they did there. And so I appreciated that.
We have to be quiet.
As an OG Jurassic Park fan, I apprecited that.
But poor Lucas is like, no, I have to keep playing Kate Bush.
Yeah.
I like how Vicky, Robin's girlfriend at the present time of this episode, like, finally gets in on it and like is looped in. See, like, what else? I'm gonna go in with what else I liked, okay, and then we'll go to what I didn't like, and then you can go. Does that work for you?
That works.
And then I can rest my vocal cords. Okay, so what else did I like? Karen Wheeler, my girl. First off, mom of the century. The only thing Karen Wheeler's ever done that's bad is considering, hooking up with like a 17-year-old. But whatever. I mean, Ted Wheeler, he's just like the most boring man. So she had her moment with the wine bottle, listed Fernando in the first part. Well, this time she comes out of her like hospital room because she hears on the speaker, like because they gone through the speaker system and they're like, Lucas, like, you have to run, and she knows that that's one of her son's friends, and it's like, So she still can't really talk from where the Demogorgon like sliced her throat up. but she saves them from the Demodogs or whatever they're called. I don't know. By throwing like the oxygen tank. Like she knew enough to throw that into the washer. It has the like, so they get distracted by that. It explodes, and there's Karen Wheeler like a baddie.
I'm sus scientifically if that would actually do that, because those bottles of air are made to withstand quite a beating.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, my girl's a baddie.
It's not a canned air. It's like industrial oxygen that you would use.
Anyway, Karen Wheeler's a baddie. We don't know. At this point, nobody knows what's going on with Ted Wheeler. No one cares, I guess. So my boys, Dustin and Steve, everyone was all like up in arms about how they weren't getting along, when it was clear that the reason why they were arguing is because Dustin was grieving. Steve had been trying to reach out and get through to Dustin and just couldn't. But I felt like those were those scenes, and I know Dustin and Steve, especially Steve, are my favorite characters. So maybe I'm biased here, but I think those were the best scenes from the back half of the season. But they finally made up. There's this moment where Dustin like freaks out. He's like, no. He's like, you can't do that. He's like, I can't do it again. I can't lose you. And they hug, and you see in Steve's eyes the realization of just everything that's been going on. And it was a beautiful moment.
Specifically, those two, when they are fighting and they're in the Upside Down going through that building. And what made those scenes even more stand out even more as good scenes was because we were intermixing between them and Nancy and Jonathan almost dying and breaking up. And like, that was one of those scenes where like, I get the importance of it, but the way they constructed it and the way with the tension.
So you like those scenes?
Nancy and Jonathan? No, that was terrible.
Okay, yeah.
The way they did it was terrible. I get why they had to do it.
Okay, but did you like Dustin and Steve's
scenes?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. They mirrored each other as they were going through, and that's why it stood out even more as to why those scenes were good and Nancy and Jonathan were bad, because they were right next to each other having these conversations, and it was like, what are we doing?
I also, when they were fighting before they made up, like Dustin just started like basically wailing on Steve, and you could tell like Steve could have easily like body checked Dustin, like Steve was a jock, but he didn't. Like at one point he kind of shoved him off of him, but because they love each other. And then they have another scene after that where basically Dustin says, solving a Rubik's Cube, because there was a Rubik's Cube in the room that they were stuck in. He's like, doesn't mean, you're an intelligent person. And then Steve's basically like kind of said, you're my best friend. And like they hugged again. And it was just, I love them. Their relationship and their bond, I think, has been one of the strongest and most consistent parts of Stranger Things. And I do love me some consistency. And I thought those were very well done. I do think when Max finally came out of the coma, that was nice. That was a good scene. I enjoyed that.
The whole tension of them getting to the hospital, right? And getting her out of there and all that stuff. Even as ridiculous as continuing to play the music the whole way through was, that was a very good sequence that paid off. And they didn't break the pacing in weird ways like they have had a tendency to this season.
Obviously, Delightful Derek, which I'll get to my favorite part, is where he was in the finale. But Delightful Derek was once again fantastic. And then kind of some side characters. Mr. Clark, I think he was like their AV teacher or something.
And science teacher.
Finally gets like pulled into it. And then Murray and Erica, the team up, because they went over to go get Mr. Clark together. There was not enough Erica for me. I like her. She's my favorite side character. You can't spell America without Erica.
They had such a big cast. It's really difficult to give those side characters,
Or you can give a side character and make them their main character.
Or that, turn Holly Wheeler into a main character.
So let's kick that off. Things I did not like. I think the actress that they brought in to play Holly Wheeler is a great little actress.
Oh, yeah.
I get why they had to have that. She was kind of the catalyst as she was stuck in that upside down, but I think that we could have solved that earlier. And I know like the whole thing with the kids and all of that, but I felt like I would love to see like a chart of screen time, because I feel like she had more screen time than any of the OG kids.
It's very possible.
Like she seemed like, if you told me like, let's say I sat down and watched the show having never seen any of the other seasons, like some freak, some people do that, I'd be like, oh, is she like the main character?
Yeah, she's got a lot of screen time.
Whereas before, I would always be like, oh, Mike and Elle are like the main characters. Where I would say like, I felt like 11 had like the least screen time.
Yeah.
I still like Mike. He like Mike this season really matured, grew on me. I'm trying to think anything like okay. So when it comes to stuff I didn't like, I feel like I should. I just feel like these episodes leading up to the finale were just so drawn out. They just, like I said, it felt like we just kept rehashing the same things we already know. Now you mentioned the Jancy breakup. I was glad they broke up. But that breakup scene was stupid.
Yeah,
and I can honestly see how people were confused by it.
I'm not upset with the storyline or the result of the conversation. It's that they did it the way they did it. The thing that was happening around them as they were doing it seems just like insane.
Well,
that way they did it.
It was like a 10-minute breakup that still left people confused.
Yeah.
We were not confused, but people were still. And like, can I just say that like when they were talking about like the things that they didn't like, because they needed to have that conversation at some point. But Nancy was like giving like, I don't like it when you like smoke weed or whatever. And he was like, I donated your pink sweater because I hate the color pink. And then he's like, I don't like reading any of your articles. Like, I'm like, what in the... Jonathan, until the finale, don't consider me a fan of you. And now I love you because of the finale.
He could have been like, I don't like how much of a gun nut you've become.
Yeah.
You know, or anything like that, right?
It was just... And then, like, Nancy basically said, you know, like, when they broke up, they kind of put the... Even though I still had a little bit of hope, it was pretty much Stancy was also dead in that same scene because she was just like... Yeah. Steve does have better hair than you. Snap. And, you know, Jonathan deserved to hear that since he mentioned the sweater thing. But that was collectively shut down. And Nancy was just like, it's never been like that. She's like, I like it that Steve knows what he wants. I don't know what I want. So they kind of, and I figured they might do that. But I do have some beef. Like, why did they put all those scenes in season 4 that made it seem like Nancy could be into Steve again? Why did they have those scenes in the first half of season 5 where he was like leaning over her shoulder and she seemed to be like into it?
Well, I'll give you.
Were they doing like a Star Wars thing to me where they tried to make it seem like Finn liked Rey and then he was like, oh, never mind, I was just a Jedi. Spoiler alert for Star Wars.
I will give you an answer to that because you finally admitted to me the other day that you saw this and realized that what I was beefing about. The reason that they did all that stuff in season 4 and then didn't address it in season 5 is because they forgot. Yeah. Just like they forgot how they ended season 4 going into season 5. And I feel like finally you saw somebody showed you like the footage of what the end of season 4 was like.
I had forgotten that the Upside Down was supposedly creeping into regular Hawkins.
Yeah. No, they just put some metal plates over it.
So did the writers.
Yeah.
So that is about my thoughts on part 2 before we get into the finale. I feel like we could have trimmed that down. We could have... It was one of those things where I was like, oh gosh, we're going to have a 2-hour finale coming up and we have all these things that we haven't settled. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, with a 2-hour finale, I'm like, we're finally going to... Because writing a finale is hard.
Absolutely.
And I was like...
Yeah, absolutely.
We're finally going to have plenty of time to explain stuff. Spoiler alert, we didn't. So you go ahead now. I know you kind of interjected with me, but give me your good, bad, and ugly. Not the finale, but just those episodes.
I mean, the good, like, again, Nancy Wheeler scene was really good. The
Oh, wait. I have to interrupt. Oh. Sorry. Sorry, it's my brain fog.
She's back, folks.
The white stuff. I'm very confused. In the room where like Nancy and Jonathan thought they were dying.
Oh, the like non-Newtonian
did they ever
goo or whatever that is?
Explain why the white
stopped
stuff
all of a sudden?
Stopped?
No.
Okay.
They need the plot. The writers needed it to stop.
Got it. Okay. Now you can go.
Okay. Yeah, like Nancy Wheeler, you know, saving the day again. Even if I am dubious about the. Listen,
you
guys.
Mean Karen Wheeler?
Yeah, Karen Wheeler. Listen, guys, we're in a show. We're with a wormhole. That's sending D&D themed creatures into it. I'm not that concerned about the scientific accuracy of most of this stuff, so I'm going to let that one go. The homage to Jurassic Park kitchen scene there was like really, really good, and I appreciate it, and I will forever maintain they knew exactly what they were doing. Like that's what they were. It wasn't a ripoff; it was a homage in my mind.
Okay.
And I think, you know, Dustin and Steve, like you said, were good. And there was some stuff around the edges that like it's just so hard for me to even remember it after the. I wish we had recorded these 3. I wish you hadn't been sick. Full
Me
stop.
too.
And then I wish we had been able to record our thoughts on these 3 episodes
That's the
before
only reason
seeing
why.
the finale. Before seeing the finale, because
Yeah.
seeing the finale makes it hard. I think that my bad is, again, the exposition. This was so much expositional talk and so much conversation. I think that I give them credit for trying to actually explain what was going on between Hawkins and the Upside Down and the other world where Vecna's hanging out with the wormhole thing. Like, I give them credit for at least attempting it, but again, every time they have to explain something, they got to sit down and we got to have a, it's like we're going to school. Here's the props. So here's we're drawing on the stuff, blah, 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 blah. And like, there's just better ways to do that stuff and have a little bit of faith in your audience to understand, to connect some dots. Hey, listen here, folks. Okay. Considering some of the stuff we're going to talk about later in this episode, I get why they maybe don't have faith in their fan base to connect some dots.
I think they're forgetting their own work, though, because I listened to an interview with them, and they were like, well, I guess. And I just thought of something else, too, before we get into the finale. I am really sick of this, of every time somebody makes a TikTok about it or says something about, like, the flashback scenes with Henry when he was supposedly in school with like Joyce and Hopper, and they're like, oh, well, it's explained in the play, like the big like whatever's in the briefcase in the cave, like I think it's like the mind flayer like particles.
I'm here to tell
and
you
they're
right
like,
now,
that's how
we don't care.
We don't care.
We don't care. I do not care what's in a play. This is your called your coastal elitism showing. If you're like, oh, go watch the Broadway show. I am like 8-hour drive or a 3-hour plane ride from that off-Broadway show.
I think you can only see it on Broadway in New York, and I think you can see it like in the UK, and let's say it's. And if I would be willing to be like, okay, watch the play if they had uploaded the play to Netflix and like released that before they released this upcoming season,
sure,
and been like, watch this play, it connects. I find it kind of offensive as a fan, and I really don't like when other fans talk down to fans and that are like, oh, well, just watch the play, as if we all have the time, the means, and the money to do so. Some of us are employed, and like you said, don't live super close. So I think
after the finale, some of those people that were doing that are eating a little bit of crow, because I saw a TikTok that said what was in the briefcase on the Broadway show and the show are different.
Okay.
So they broke canon or whatever canon.
It just seems like a lot of people keep saying that, and I'm like, it's one thing, and there is, I think, a scene in the finale, supposedly, there was like a character in a play that like shows up in a very like in part.
It's one thing to wink and show things from the play and be like, haha, if you saw the play, this enriches your experience.
To have it as a central part of your plot, like how Henry connected with the Mind Flayer. Which,
hey, listen, I am just happy that the rumors about there being basically a flashback episode that was the play essentially didn't happen, because that would have, if you think I sound down on this season of the Stranger Things right now, you should just be glad that didn't happen. I am going to say one more thing, and okay. I'm not going to say it's bad or ugly or good or whatever. And I've never been in this situation personally, so I have nothing to add to it whatsoever. The Will coming out scene was a little awkward and a little, and I don't understand. I get I understand.
Felt like it was written by straight people.
Technically, why they had everybody in the cast show up to sit there and listen. And you should hear this too. Because they have to get it into everybody's ear holes, so they don't have to spend the next 15 minutes of the show going, oh, by the way, oh, by the way, oh, by the way. But it was just, it felt very weird.
Have this epic moment we're leading up to, and it's like, oh wait, never mind. And it was odd.
Also, Will said very specifically, I have to get this off my chest because I can't have this hanging over me going forward in this confrontation with Vecna. And then that made me feel like, okay, Will's going to get in there and do some stuff, and he needs to make sure that his vulnerabilities are all off the table.
Which he did.
But he didn't really play it out either. So it kind of just...
I just think the dialogue was funny, like, because...
Well, the dialogue this entire season has been terrible.
Like, when Robin came out to Steve in season 3... that was a very well done scene.
Yeah.
And I know they're capable of
I
writing.
agree. Yeah, that's
just because we said we think it was awkward doesn't mean that we're against this storyline or anything like that.
Not at all. And again,
it was.
I'm speaking from a
strange,
from
Stranger
a
Things
standpoint of not being able to remotely say I've been in that situation, but it was a very weird scene having all those people there.
I feel like people. I'm like, have Steve and Will ever even had like a scene together?
Yeah, there were so many people just sitting there watching, and it's like, okay, what are we doing?
Okay, so then the finale drops on New Year's Eve.
2 whole hours.
And I feel like you and I have some disagreements on that, but as a whole, I like the finale. I'm satisfied with the end, if this is in fact the end, which we'll get into in a minute.
We'll get to that here in the end.
Upside down. I think that I can't believe, I feel like so many people are hating on it, and I'm like, what did you guys expect? It honestly, I think when you wait so long between seasons and you give fans time to create and concoct all these crazy theories, and then when your ending kind of goes just like you said, you caught it. I think you said something earlier today, a paint by the numbers.
It was by the numbers,
by plan. But I'm like, that's actually a use of good storytelling, in the fact that even though it sucked when 11 died, did she die? Did she not die? I don't know. Did not survive. That sucked, but it felt like it was always going to be that way
served the
from
story.
The beginning.
It made sense. It was how you had to resolve that.
I just think that to me, and I was going to criticize if a bunch of characters did die, because I don't think that you need to have a bunch of deaths, destruction, and sadness to make a good finale. If you're doing that to try to make an epic finale, that means you're a tryhard. Unless the deaths serve a purpose. If they had just killed off the fan favorite Steve Harrington, which they did a fake out, and I almost shut off Netflix. I was like, I'm done with this. If they had done that, that's just because they know he's the fan favorite. They want to make us sad.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with a happy ending when it's done well. And I think for what they had to work with and what they left us with, I think they did a good job, and they didn't and missed them. If we're gonna nitpick stuff, I can nitpick till the cows come home. I don't know why that's a phrase.
But I'm on the other side of nitpicking these days.
If you want to nitpick, I'll really nitpick. But I think as a whole, I felt very satisfied with the finale. Now, if they had killed off Steve, I looked at you. I was like, because they had him. He's he about to fall off the radio tower. Because they had to do that to close or get into the wormhole. I don't remember. And the screen went to black for 7 seconds, apparently. And I was like, I was like, I'm done. I was like, shut off Netflix. I was like, I'm done. And then Jonathan finally proved himself to be a worthy character and grabbed Steve's hand and saved him. So now I can no longer hate on Jonathan. I did think that Callie, Elle's sister, one of the other, I thought she was gonna be bad. I was like Hopper. I was like, I don't trust this girl. She ended up being
what they were doing with her.
A big fat nothing burger, and then I felt bad about it.
No, it wasn't nothing. She
nothing.
She
but
was providing the alternate point of view, the realistic point of view to Elle. That is, hey, listen, we can defeat Vecna, but if either of us are still alive at the end, none of this ends.
I meant it was a nothing burger, thinking that we had so many of us thought she was going to be the villain. I thought she was working with Vecna. I do think it's funny that everyone's like, does Vecna know he's called Vecna? Because they call him that from the D&D game, but it's Henry. I saw a TikTok that was who the heck is that?
Who's Vecna?
Yeah. I enjoyed the finale. Everyone was like, oh, they defeated Vecna quickly. And I'm like, okay, but we've had all of season 4 and then all the beginning of these long drawn out episodes where we've been trying to defeat Vecna. I personally would have been bored if it had just been so much just fighting Vecna. I'm like, let's defeat him. I'm done with this. Ultimately, I guess you could say I was right that the military was the big bad, because they were big and bad enough that's why 11 died. But or you could be or that was nothing, because then nothing happened. But am I wrong? She had to die so they would leave her alone. They were going to keep going after her. Or did she die? I don't know. She had to go away. She had to make it seem like she was gone.
We'll discuss that point in a moment.
So in a way, I was correct that ultimately the military was still the big bad. We got delightful Derek turning to Vecna and saying, "Suck my fat one." Can I just say that he's the bright spot of season 5 for me?
He was for sure.
He's so delightful.
Yeah. And I thought when they first introduced him, I thought, they're going to overuse this, and I'm going to hate it.
It was perfect.
But it did not. They were able to keep a balance.
His little wave to Mike.
Yeah,
he was like, Mike's like my best friend.
Yeah, they were able to keep a balance with Derek. I was worried when they first brought him in that he was going to be obnoxious, but they were able to get it.
Perfectly balanced. He is delightful Derek from now on. So yeah, they do defeat Vecna. I didn't think it was too quick. And people were like, where are the Demodogs? Where were those? I'm like, where are the bats that killed Eddie? That's like what I was wondering about. We didn't see the bats at all this season. Do they like hibernate? I don't know. I think it was always going to be unsatisfying the way they got rid of Vecna. That's just when you have a villain so built up. But I'm like, I didn't need like another hour and a half of defeating Vecna. So maybe that's my unpopular opinion of the century.
I mean, honestly, when he gets impaled, when Elle impales him, I'm assuming he's dead, and that was satisfying for me. And I've told you multiple times, I was a little off put by the whole Joyce decapitating him, and if Joyce had just taken one swing and it was done, that would have been fine. But the fact that she like hacking away at his neck for like 30 seconds while we're getting all the reactions from everybody, that was a bit much. I'm sorry. I thought that was like...
Think of all the trauma that he put her family through, though.
I understand.
She lost Bob. She thought her son was dead. All this, like... I mean, at one point, I thought they were going to redeem him and that he was going to... I was like, oh my God, they're going to redeem Henry, because it turns out like he's part of he and the Mind Flayer are like connected, which I also always thought. I thought that was common knowledge, that either he controlled the Mind Flayer or the Mind Flayer controlled him, and then I come to find out that no one else thought that, including you, and I'm like, oh, I'm either a genius or not paying attention. We don't know. I thought for a second, I was like, are we gonna like Anakin? Because they reference Return of the Jedi.
Right. Because my thought,
Anakin Skywalker this
when season
Anakin's a good man.
When season 4 ended, they air quotes defeated Vecna. I assumed season 5 was going to be fighting the Mind Flayer, and it kind of was. But what they did in the interim was go, you know what? We wrote this really good, compelling villain in Vecna.
Jamie Campbell's really good,
and the actor is really good. We should just try to find a way to integrate that back into the story. I'm a little disappointed. I think they could have integrated Vecna back into the story, but also made the Mind Flayer more of a
I just
thing.
Always thought that either one was controlling the other. Like, I've thought that like the whole time. I want to know, and I guess we're just sort of forgetting that season 4 exists. I'm like, what about the clocks? I thought like time travel would be involved in it. Anyway, those are things that like nitpicky. But I really thought for a second,
Can we go back to just calling them grandfather clocks?
No, I'm going to call them every time we'll see a house on Zillow, I'll be like, oh, they have a Vecna clock. And it makes Daniel so mad. Send pictures to Daniel of Vecna clocks, please. But yeah, I thought they were going to redeem Henry for a second. And then it was like, and I was like, this is going to, like, I wouldn't mind it if he helps them, but think of, like, all the bad he's already done. Like,
it's going to be Darth Vader.
No, shut up. Leave Anakin alone. He's a good man, Savannah. Because they have that moment where he and Will are talking, and Will was like, you were just a boy. It wasn't your fault. I mean, he still bashed the guy's head in with a brick.
What I told you the whole time. From
the
moment we saw that, it's like, yeah, he was defending himself, so he knocks the guy out with a rock.
Little boy.
Fine, that would have been fine. But then to just keep on bashing the guy's head in, okay, that's a bit much.
He was a scared child.
So.
But then they didn't. So he was like, "No, it's too late for me," basically. And we're like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, I don't. The people saying that, I'm like, what did you guys like want? Now, one thing I did like, another unpopular opinion, I liked it that we had like 45 minutes of this is what happened after.
Let me give,
I enjoyed it.
Let me give my brief thoughts before we get to the epilogue, which is essentially where we're going to get into a few theories and then maybe a couple other crazy things that TikTok has come up with. I'm known Stranger Things hater since probably the end of season 3. Season 4 was terrible. Didn't need to happen.
He's such a hater.
This was an abysmal mess, season 5. But what they had to work with, they found a way to land the plane. It's missing an engine. The wheels didn't come out. Part of the wing's gone. Nobody's piloting it. Nobody with an actual license, like Nathan Fielder's not on the plane. Nobody who knows what they're doing is piloting it. But they managed somehow to land the plane with mostly everybody alive. I was
going to say,
intact.
You said you liked the finale. He did.
It was paint by the numbers.
You were like, I can't believe I'm defending Stranger Things. Go on.
It was paint by the numbers, but they managed to pull off an ending that didn't absolutely just suck. And more to the point, and now we'll get into the epilogue section, I do actually appreciate the way that they had left it with Elle. Is she alive? Is she not? Because the story ends with Elle dying.
Yes.
To sacrificing herself because she realizes that her sister was right. No, this is never going to end as long as she's alive. Or they know she's alive. Because the
military is the ultimate
villain. Because the
villain.
military is going to continue to come after her and go to jail. And by the way, all those pregnant ladies...
Were they in the upside down?
They were in the upside down, right?
So they're just
they
all
got
dead,
killed
yeah,
too.
I guess.
Okay. And so...
I think they want us to forget that.
I appreciate the way that they ended the story with Elle sacrificing herself. And then the very last thing we see is Mike and the group playing D&D. And at the end of it, they finish their game. And Mike tells them, well, here's what I think maybe could have happened. And I truly believe this is Mike's way of dealing and coping with the trauma.
I believe that Elle is at the waterfalls.
Okay.
Because you know what? I want to believe. Elle is a character that went through so much trauma and pain, and what a tragic character, honestly. She's just a child. It sucked, and I get why people are so upset. But at the same time, it did serve the plot. Like, it was, if somebody was going to pass on or die or go away, it was always going to be her. So I am choosing to also cope and believe that, because, she didn't have the nosebleed. They were doing that thing. It would have been hard for her to project and use those powers when she was talking to him. So I'm thinking it could. Well, I think they pulled an Elphaba.
It's deeper than that, Hope. Like, she's never been able to. How did she communicate with him?
Exactly. I think it could be real. I don't know. Did she? I don't want. I mean, in the 80s, how'd she get on the plane? How'd she get a passport? There's all kinds of stuff we can nitpick, people. But I'm gonna be like the kids. I believe.
I don't, and the reason I don't is because they were shooting those speaker things out when they came out, and so if she had come out with them, she would have been immediately effective.
It's nice to believe that.
I agree, and that's why. No, this is the good thing they did, was that they left it just open enough for interpretation that you're going to be able to form camps, and people are going to say this is what I believe, and people are going to say this is what I believe, and that is a good thing. That helps the show stay in the mindset. Oh, you finally watched
Wicked for good. Was it not like the end of Wicked?
It was kind of like that, yeah.
I've talked to so many people about this. I'm like, is Elle like pulling like an elf ball? What's going on? Okay, so I liked. You were somebody that was like, we're gonna spend 45 minutes now saying where people are up to. I loved it.
They could have cut a lot of stuff down.
No.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. So we're just going to say, let's talk about a little bit more of the bad. Sarah Connor, aka I guess Linda Hamilton, Dr. K in the show. I'm glad that Linda Hamilton got a paycheck, I guess, because I don't know what she's been in recently, but what a waste of Linda Hamilton's acting. Basically, this is how I'm writing off the military. Okay, what drives me nuts about people, and even you, even though you said you were joking, is that Max, 18 months have passed. We have an 18-month time jump. Daniel turns to me and he's like, and I've seen so many people like, how was Max able to graduate?
I paused the show, by the way.
And I'm like, summer school classes, they probably knew she was in a coma. They probably had people to help. She's not an idiot. That is like, of all the plot holes, that is like the most easiest one to come up with reasons that yes, Max could have graduated. She could have taken extra classes, had extra help. I can't believe that people are obsessing about that, but then they're willing to let it go of how was Hopper, who I thought was presumed dead by the town, but I don't know.
Yeah, how's he the sheriff again?
Mowing down military people, Nancy too. He's the cop again. Yeah. Basically, none of these people.
No consequences.
No consequences. So the way I'm writing this off in my head is that branch of the military under like Dr. K and her people had kind of been going off script, trying to get not really following their own rules. So when Elle went away, Dr. K was like, all right, pack it up. This never happened.
Yeah.
It was almost like what is it? Men in Black, like
Yeah.
the little thing they click, like it's done. So I'm like, if we're going to like pick on a plot hole, pick on that one. Max being able to graduate, fine.
Before you go forward anymore, I need you to confirm two things for the people on here. I paused and said, how in the world did she graduate?
And I gave you perfect reasons
but
why.
Before that, I've also paused when they were fighting Vecna. I know I'm going back a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Because what did I say? I said pocket sand when she threw the sand at
Yes.
him. And I saw TikToks all over the place. And I was like, you know.
I still don't know what you're referring
It's
to.
from King of the Hill. If you just watch one of the best shows ever,
Well,
you
Hannah
know what
has
pocket
to
sand is.
watch
Hannah,
Peacemaker.
you need to watch
And then
Peacemaker
I'll
so we can watch.
I'll even let her just watch season 1.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, I really liked that. I like the happy endings. Steve, of course, he'd become a coach.
Didn't he play basketball? What's he coaching baseball for?
Okay. I've seen that's so ridiculous.
Everybody, listen. Wait.
Not everybody do 3 sports in school? We're not going to get into the theory until later, but I've seen
just
that.
messing with her, everybody. I'm just messing with her. I've seen all these people nitpicking this ending to death on TikTok, and I don't care about it. But it's fun.
Good athletes typically don't play like a fall sport, a winter sport, and a spring sport. Come on.
They were just all running.
Yeah. Anyway,
because I'm not.
Andy's a teacher. We love that. Robin is at college. It's presumed that she and Vicky broke up. That was one thing that annoyed me, is that the last we saw was of Vicky, which Dr. K had like captured them. So I'm like, what's going on? But at the same time, I'm willing to forego that, because how often do you typically stay with like your first romance? I'll say that there is a little bit of beef that I have, as I felt like at this point now they used Vicky and Robin to serve Will's story. And I think that's kind of dumb. But I'll be willing to let that go. Obviously, the graduation scene, I did point out, why are they wearing orange? I thought their colors were green. Again, we'll get to that in a little bit. But I was like, well, maybe it's like a side color. And then I was thinking, as like a movie person, because Daniel's on my head all the time, I was like, and I know this from where I've done commercials and stuff before, they usually tell you not to wear green. In case and I know you said there probably wasn't green screen, but just in case they have to do green screen work, they will tell you to avoid wearing green. And maybe a whole group of people like that sitting, as graduates do, maybe they were like, let's invent, instead of having them in white, let's make them wear orange. Okay. But I really like that Dustin honored Eddie at the graduation, because in the season where Eddie's like, and I'm going to look the principal in the eye, I'm going to flip him the bird, grab my diploma. And they reference that. I love that, obviously, Eddie and Steve stay close. Honestly, it seemed like everybody but Mike got a happy ending, but from things I've read, the storyteller, which is Mike's role, doesn't always get the happy ending. Nancy, I will pick a little bit about her ending. Again, I'm fine that she and Steve didn't end up together, but she's wanting to be a serious journalist. They said she dropped out of school. As somebody who went to school for journalism, they would not think, maybe the 80s were a different time. I don't know. I think that would have been frowned upon.
You just needed a notepad and a pack of cigs.
I liked all 4 of the older kids on the roof. People were like, oh, these characters barely ever hung out, but they're trauma bonded. They're bonded forever by what they went through. It was like
in Wicked for Good.
It was like when you say goodbye.
It was like in Wicked
friends.
for Good, when they had to flashback to the scees of all those characters hanging out, because you didn't actually get to see them hanging out.
Because they cut it from the theater. I could have used 3 Wickeds. Thank you. Now my voice is coming back because you're making me mad. But I thought that was well done. I thought it was, and then I really liked kind of the passing of the torch, how Holly and Delightful Derek and their little friends,
I thought that was a fun little
they
part.
were getting ready to play D&D, and Mike shuts the door. Some stuff I've seen people nitpick about are the haircuts. Guys, that short hair that Karen Wheeler and Nancy had, that my mom still rocks Nancy's haircut to this day in our year 2026, but like that short hair was very popular, like Princess Diana back then. So of course, like, you've seen that both Nancy and Karen have gone through like the trends of early 80s and the haircuts like that.
And I know that, our listeners are generally not these people, but I think that the younger generations watching media that are based, especially media that is based in another time previous,
Yeah.
they need to take that and remember that things were different than when they are now, and you can't necessarily apply the same things to, you know what I mean? Like, short hair was just a thing back then. And like,
I've seen them even criticize where they're like, so is Nancy into women now? Because Robin said, how are the babes? No, we said like, babes in like 2000 to refer to men and women.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Well, I still think it was awkward, and I agree with you. But like talking about the time period, I have to remind myself that this was the 80s when he came out, and why it was such a big deal. So I do have to remind myself of that. It's even weirder he did it in front of like
20 people.
Yeah, which is but I liked, and then Hopper and Joyce getting engaged. I thought that was really nice. It showed, Hopper spent so much of his time mourning Sarah. I mean, God knows we only saw it 50 times this season in the flashbacks. And he kind of told Mike where they meet, in front of that, like, I guess memorial thing for Hawkins in the park before graduation, that like you can't spend your life always wondering what if. You have to find a way to move on. Like basically saying like, don't do what I've done. Right. We have to find a way to move on and move forward. But I thought it was I thought like I liked the finale. Like as a whole, like yes, and I know on this podcast we've nitpicked it to death, but I think they hit the mark like they were supposed to, and I didn't need 50,000 deaths to be epic. I liked that. What's wrong with wanting a happy ending? Also, for the Gen Xers, all you have to do to make those people happy is put in some Prince songs. They love Prince. Listen, Prince is great, but it's always funny how the Gen X people are like always like, oh my God, Prince. The scene with Purple Rain, that was and I felt like that was the best acting I had seen from Finn and Millie this season.
Yeah.
Was that part together. All right. So anything else that you liked about the finale?
Again, they had a mess on their hands. They somehow managed to land it. I'll be genuine when I'll say I don't know that this was better than, but they, I think, made a more satisfying conclusion of Stranger Things than Game of Thrones pulled off.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is a flop.
I like Game of Thrones as a show better, and I'm probably never going to go back and watch either of these shows again. But the ending of Game of Thrones has basically put a nail on me ever wanting to go re-explore
and your ending,
watching that.
I need to say this. Your ending is not because of Daenerys. It's just the way, because Dany was always going to go insane.
No, my concerns had nothing to do with
as
that.
If book readers know this, but I think it was jarring for the people that watched that show because it's like suddenly they put the foot on the gas pedal, and the way they wrote everything was just messy.
In a more literal way than you, I think, you're even meaning. And this is where everybody who just heard me say I'm over nitpicking is going to be like, Daniel, but you're nitpicking right now. But I'm not nitpicking right now, because they spent the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones making it explicitly to the plot important about how long it takes to get around Westeros. And then the last 2 seasons, really, like, all of a sudden they're like, we're just doing it. It was like supernatural. Like, we're just there in a couple days. No big deal.
Well, I think when Game of Thrones fell off, you can attribute to that when they didn't have the books to follow anymore, and they kind of had to go off on their own.
Okay.
Whereas Stranger Things is not based on a book. I don't think you can say when the Stranger Things ended in season 1 that they envisioned this would be their ending for now.
No, and that's why everybody who says they're disappointed because they felt like the Duffer Brothers had a plan, my brothers and sisters,
I don't think they had a
plan.
Guys,
you got to stop thinking.
They had concepts of a plan.
You got to stop thinking that these people have plans. Okay, they get paid to write a season of a show. They might have an idea here or there floating around, maybe something scribbled in a notebook about, if we do well and we get picked up, maybe I can go this direction. Nobody is putting these shows together with big plans.
Well, I also watched an interview where the interviewer like called them out. He's like, so Robin and Vicky, they're like, did they break up? And they're like, yeah. They're like, no high school couples ever stay together. Like, that's like 0% chance. And then the guy was like, what about Max and Lucas? And it's like they forgot, like, and they're like, oh, well, that's different.
Okay, so now.
Okay, wait, let's wait one more.
You got one more thing to say?
Just a little bit more. I think we are living in an age, though, where people expect so much because of the internet, I think, is ruining TV somewhat because sometimes the fan theories, this is a good segue into this,
Sure.
might be better than what we get. And I think people expected so much that they can't enjoy what we got, when I think what we got was a very serviceable finale and one that I can, as a fan, be satisfied with. I felt the same way with The Summer I Turned Pretty. I know I am getting a movie for that, but I would have been fine without a movie. I'm trying to think of the last time like a finale like snatched my wig and blew me away, and I can't think of anything. I can think of good, like the Mad Men finale was good.
Right.
But I don't think
Mad Men had kind of, the last couple seasons of Mad Men had fallen off a little bit. I
feel
think
like
Ted Lasso's finale, in air quotes, was satisfying and good, but it wasn't like some amazing thing. Same with Maisel.
But like I'm talking about, like I think people wanted like wig snatching, like this is the craziest thing I've ever seen moments.
I mean, what did they want the camera to just go to black for like 15 seconds, like The Sopranos? Like, what'd they want?
I have no idea. That's why I said I think the internet's built up.
Yeah.
People, we made some higher expectations.
And then I will, like you said it earlier.
Again, like you and I are defending the finale after crapping on the season.
You said it earlier. I write. Writing endings is hard.
Yeah. I think sometimes you either fall into two camps. You either go completely back. The one that I hate the most is when they're like, let's achieve a full circle moment, but at the expense of character growth.
Right.
How I Met Your Mother. Looking at you. Worst finale ever. Or they try to make it epic by killing off a bunch of people and try to get this emotional punch that's not needed. There's no reason for Steve Harrington to die.
No.
Other than that, they would have killed off who I believe is probably the fan favorites. It sucks that 11 is no longer with us. I choose to believe she is looking at those waterfalls.
I mean, even if Mike's fantasy is true, she's still never going to see him again.
Yeah.
She's going to be alone. They're going to be apart for the rest of their lives.
All right,
even if that's true.
Today, at the time that you are listening to this podcast, is January 6th. We are recording on January 5th. Today is January 6th.
We're recording this on January 5th. It is currently 6:29 p.m. And the reason we are timestamping this is just so in case something insane happens on the 7th,
on
that
January
we can
7th.
say, we can be some of those people that says we talked about it before it happened.
All right, Daniel.
Not going to happen.
Is Stranger Things really over? Why don't you tell everybody about a little theory called Conformity Gate that has taken over TikTok, and I think it's made its way to Instagram Reels, which is shocking because usually stuff waits like 6 months.
This got to Instagram Reels way faster than you would normally think it would, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Conformity Gate because my throat hurts.
All right, so there's several insane individuals on the internet who have apparently watched this season over and over and over and over. They're not satisfied with the ending, and they have convinced themselves that there is going to be a secret 9th episode dropping on January 7th.
Because there's 7 seconds that Elle was training for it. 7 seconds with Steve Fell. Joyce found Will on the 7th day. There's a lot of... The
20-sided D20 was on a 7.
Yeah.
And so what they've decided is that everything that took place after the 40-minute epilogue is actually Vecna creating a matrix, I guess, for them. They're all in Vecna's mind now, and he's created them a happy little ending for some reason. Why he would do that?
Prison, the orange graduation robes.
Yeah, the orange graduation robes that should have been green is because they're in prison. All of them were sitting there with their hands in a place, kind of like Vecna stands. Will, in multiple times, was standing like Vecna would stand because Will is actually gone, and it was Vecna the whole time being Will. What is it? The Mr. What's-It is a board game.
Yeah.
This is one thing.
I thought that was just a little wink.
I think this is an Easter egg, a little wink and Easter egg. However, the fact that there are two places where there's this board game called Mr.
It's in the
What's-It,
buyer's house and it's in Mike's house.
And the fact that...
Ted Wheeler lived.
Yeah,
Can we talk about that?
In previous seasons, the Duffer Brothers, one thing they did was really go heavy into nostalgia. So why didn't they use any other board game from the 80s in those spots? But instead they decided to make one up
it was a little wink.
for Mr. What's-It, who happened to be what those younger kids on the show called Vecna this entire season. What else is there? There's so much stuff.
Well, one of the things they're saying is that because Vicky was absent of the finale, they're like, well, Vecna didn't know who Vicky was. But I already have a hole in that because Stacy, the little brat from season 2 who Dustin asked to dance and said no, she shows up in the graduation episode to invite him to a party. And I'm like, well, he wouldn't have known Vicky or Stacy either. But before we get into this, I kind of said it like manically. Ted Wheeler did live, if that was the actual finale, and that's how forgettable Ted Wheeler is. But I did like how he still was like language with Dustin. Anyway, so back to Conformity Gate. There's a lot that people are putting into this to the point where I'm like, I don't think this is happening, but some of it does make sense. And you agree. You and I were talking about this, and you were like, it actually does make sense that they can pull this off. I don't even think the Duffer Brothers have got to be like, what?
And what's the character who's like breaks the fourth wall at one point?
Lucas.
Does
look at the camera.
He breaks the fourth wall, which was a really odd thing in hindsight.
I just think that was an editing mistake.
So listen, it's one of those things where the TikToks started coming up, and I started just flipping past them, and eventually I just kept watching a little bit longer and watching a little bit longer.
I got so sucked into it.
And I got sucked into it. And it is absolutely not going to happen. It is absolutely untrue. It's really very cool that people came up with this so fast. And I think, honestly, it goes to the heart of why so many people are disappointed in this finale.
Yeah.
Is because they had built this up
and
as something that it wasn't all for years and years. I mean, how many years has it been since season 4? But even before that, people were always doing this kind of stuff. And
it's kind of what I said about like the internet. Like sometimes the theories are better than what people are getting. But like whoever put this together did a good job.
Yeah, and I want to remind you that as much as this show is just another show that has gone by for us, a bigger profile show than we've had in a while, granted, but it's still just another show for us. To a lot of Gen Z,
it's like their show.
This is their show because they're like, if they are 25 now, this started when they were 15. If they are 20 now, this started when they were 10.
I saw a TikTok that made me feel really old, by the way. And it was like, is this how our parents felt when Friends ended? And I was like, oh my God. Because even though Friends had 10 seasons, it also was 10 years of filming time. And I'm like... Oh, I'm old. I was like the Saving Private Ryan meme where he goes from like the old because I totally remember when the Friends finale aired. My friend and I from high school like watched it like together like on these things called phones.
Yeah,
I think we did have cell phones at this point. And we watched the finale together. Like, did Rachel get off the plane? It was like the big moment, and I'm like, so you're right about that. Like, if you grew up with it,
it's one of those things where. This is their big show, and this is their lesson that unfortunately I hope some of them are able to look back and fondly think about their time with Stranger Things and enjoy it and watch it over and over and get joy from it. But there are going to be people, because I've had this very feeling happen to me, this is what breaks the joy of some of this stuff for them because the realization that this happened to me with Star Wars. The things that you think are being thought about aren't being thought about. It's not that deep. Nobody making it is thinking about it that deeply, and there's not some theory that's secretly being fed to you that's going to pay off.
I had seen those pictures of like Mike and Hopper talking like almost a year ago. Yeah. And it turned out it was right the whole time. And like I had seen the images of like Steve and Dustin, but I was still worried about, because I was like, what if it's all like what if it is all in Vecna's mind? And I was like, if Steve really isn't here. I think that Netflix should hire some of these people that made these fan theories, though. My question, though, to those that want Conformity Gate to be real, like, what do you want? And please weigh in.
I would think...
What do you want the finale to be? Do you want a bunch of people to die? Like, do you want because I feel like we had our characters for the most part were happy. I'm like, what do y'all want?
I mean, from my perspective, where I think Conformity Gate starts, which is where when Elle is standing in the portal, everybody just made it out of the upside down and the bomb is getting ready to go off and Elle is standing there. My understanding of the theory is that's when it starts, that's when the wool is thrown over everybody's eyes. And I think there are even some people suggesting that it wasn't actually Elle who talked to Mike, that was Vecna, starting it all. And so I guess my perspective, if I were going to go from there and make that true, then something breaks Mike out of it, and then we return right back to that spot again. And then Vecna comes walking out of the portal.
But then how do you end the show,
holding his head in his hands or something.
How do you end the show? Do you end it with
well, then they
not
gotta fight
get a happy
and
ending?
then the military and all the kids are just there, and they have a big fight, and then it's over.
And then maybe more people we do get.
Everybody dies. Everybody dies.
So
except for
no
Mike
happy
and Elle.
endings.
Yeah.
Well, that's just darkness. If this actually did happen, I feel like this would be like one of the most. Even if I didn't like the way they ended it, if we actually did, and we actually got another episode, and they pulled off this secret, I think it would go down in history of my lifetime as one of the most iconic moments of television history, regardless of how you feel about Stranger Things.
If they did this, and they were able to keep it a secret, and the only reason anybody has a inkling about it is because fans are putting it together, and then everybody turned on their Netflix app on January 7th, and instead of the normal ba-bum, it was the Vecna clock, and then they dropped another episode out of nowhere. I would give them props for pulling off one of the greatest television heists of all time to keep that a secret.
As
it is not going to happen.
Who is in a Delulu fandom already.
0.0 chance.
As somebody who is in a Delulu fandom already, I am a Swiftie. I'm like, first time. We've been clowning for this stuff for years, guys. Always looking for Easter eggs. And it's fun, but I'm just like, aw.
You have more of a chance of getting some of the things that you want out of the Taylor Swift stuff than...
Oh, I think we are getting debut Taylor's version because it's 20th anniversary coming up.
Oh, okay. You're going to start the new year that way, huh?
I guess so. So on that note, next time we talk to you guys, maybe we'll have more Stranger Things to talk about. Maybe not. But I'm gonna go ahead and, be like Derek and be like, it smells like farts. I just love Delightful Derek.
It does kind of smell like farts in here.
That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, listen, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Happy New Year. Again, we will be back next week to cover all the shows we have also watched but didn't have the time to talk about tonight. And so until then, bye-bye.